triple constraints made up of cost, time, and then scope. That means that cost is an extremely important component of every project, and so in order to make sure that all expenditure authorized are followed and not exceeded, it's very important that project managers be able to manage the cost. More so if it's a fixed price contract where you're somewhat bound by how much you can spend as per the contract, then you have to take cost management very, very serious. And there could even be risks of court action and others if you're not able to meet the cost as expected. So today we shall be looking at project cost management, and it's expected that after going through this presentation you should be able to understand what project cost management is, be able to explain some cost management principles, concepts and terms, be able to discuss the different types of cost estimates and the methods for preparing them, understand the process involved in cost estimating and cost budgeting, and then understand the benefits of end value management, among others. So what is project cost management? There are several processes, and it includes the process involved in estimating, and then a couple of estimates put together will get you the budget, and also controlling the costs so that the project can be completed within the approved budget. There are three project cost management processes, and these are cost estimating, budget determination, and then cost control. We shall be looking at these processes into detail as we go. However, there are a couple of terms that I would want us to look at. We have these common terms. There are a couple of terms, but I just pick these ones. We have profits. So it's very important that if you are a project manager, you may not necessarily be involved in the serious issues of finance and others, but at least you must be able to understand that nobody will put his money anywhere he does not think he will get any return for that investment. So profit is very, very important. So it's the difference between how much the client is willing to pay and how much you put in, so that if the selling price minus the cost price is not giving you any money, then that means you're not getting any profit for it. And you also have the profit margin. That means it's how much profit you think you can make from a project as a project manager. So there's a profit margin. Then we have life cycle costing, which is very important, because as a project manager you just don't look at how much it costs to carry out the project, but also how much it's going to even cost the client after the project has been handed over to him, how much it's going to cost to maintain, among others. Then we have cash flow analysis, very, very important again as a project manager, because you must know at any point in time how much money is coming in, how much money is going out at any point in time, so that ultimately at the end of the project you have more cash coming in than going out. If not, in the worst case should be zero, but I don't suppose anybody want to do a project where at the end with the cumulative cash flow is zero. So cash flow basically talks about in cash coming in as cash inflows and cash going out, cash outflows, and along the time axis how these pan out. Then we have direct costs, which are costs that are incurred as a result of a particular project. Okay, these are direct costs, and so if you're working on a project, these are costs that you can directly attribute to a particular project. Okay, so this may include material costs, for example, okay, or any expenditure that you can directly attribute to a particular project. So we have material costs, we have labor costs, okay, and then we have any other costs you can directly attribute to a project. And we have indirect costs. Indirect costs are usually costs that you can't attribute to one particular project. You can attribute a couple of projects, but not to one particular project. And so it may be difficult to say that this project is incurring this cost or that cost. So, for example, if an organization is embarking upon a project, a couple of projects, sorry, let's say 3 projects, and the 3 projects are in a particular building, for example, and you can't directly say that this project was consuming this amount of electricity as against the other, then all these costs can be lumped together to be called indirect costs. Then you also have sunk costs. These are costs that have already been incurred. Okay, let's jump to cost estimating. Now, cost estimating basically involves estimating the costs of the resources that you're going to use in the project. Okay, the resources here, it could be human beings, could be materials, could be equipment, okay, it could be plant, any resource at all that you're going to use on a project must be estimated. And there are a couple of inputs that you need to properly estimate costs of the project. And these inputs include the scope baseline, because again, knowing the scope baseline will give you an indication of okay, how much you have to estimate per the resource, or give you an indication of how many resources you have to estimate. Then the project schedule, because again, you must know the timeline within which the project will be done. That will also give an indication of how to estimate, so that if it's 1 year against 2 years, or 6 months against 1 week, then that will give you an indication of how quickly you can get the resource. And again, that will also give an indication of how much it's going to cost, because it's possible that depending on the time frame, you require some more resources, within that short time frame, as against if the time frame was longer, then you could use one particular resource for a very long time. And you have the human resource plan, very important, because the human beings must be planned. You must know how you're going to assign roles, for who's going to do what, and whether you're going to get those resources from within the organization or out of the organization, and so on. Then the risk register is a very important input, because we shall discuss risk management, but that'll give you an indication of the risk. And these risks you must cost them. Okay, so these are events, like a risk we shall discuss in future. A risk is any event that can positively or negatively affect the project. This is events. Okay, and sometimes at the end of the risk process, you must be able to outline which risk you think can have an effect on the project, and be able to quantify them. Then we also have the enterprise environmental factors. Okay, enterprise environmental factors. These are and organizational process factors. These we've already discussed in the earlier slides. Okay, so these are very important inputs to project cost estimate. There are types of estimates, and these types of estimate depends on the availability of information and timelines. Okay, so we have the first one being the raw order of magnitude estimate, or the ROM estimate. Usually these estimates, some call the ballpark estimates. Okay, these estimates are made when you don't have a lot of information on the project, okay, or you don't have a lot of time to make an estimate, and so you want to make an estimate anyway, but you're given a larger margin of error, okay, because of possibly a lack of information at that time, or the time frame given to you to estimate. Then we come to the budget estimates. Okay, and the budget estimates, in terms of the margin of error, the budget estimate has a smaller margin of error than the raw order of estimate. Okay, so that means assume that the budget estimate, at least you have compared to similar projects, to be able to at least give a proper budget estimate of a project, or you'd have done some due diligence somehow to be able to arrive at a budget estimate. Then you have the definitive estimate. It's a bit more refined, and so the margin of error in the definitive estimate is much smaller than the remaining three. Estimate, I mean, these type of estimates are very important because they have a bearing on how accurate an estimate can be. So that if you have a rough order of estimates, rough order of magnitude estimates, the accuracy is much less than the budget estimate, and then the definitive estimate is a bit more the best of the three. There are also tools and techniques available for estimating. So we have what we call analogous or top-down estimating, and usually top-down estimating means that estimates will come from people who are at the top of the organization, or people who at least have known people who have known similar projects, and so be able to see that this part of the project can cause this much as against that. Okay, that's the top-down estimate. Then we have the bottom-up estimates. If you compare the two, the bottom-up estimate looks more at the job, I mean, at the work package level. Okay, if you're looking at the WBS, okay, that is those who are going to carry out the tax, for example, on the ground, will be asked to estimate how much it's going to cost, and then that can then be moved up higher up until you get a cumulative estimate for the project. Other tools that can help in project estimate, cost estimating include project management software. Okay, for example, Microsoft projects or Primavera, or whatever software that are available can also aid, because it's a tool that can aid in estimating. But of course, whoever is using the tool must be able to understand how to go about this. Then we have the resource cost rates. Okay, all the resources that you intend using in your project environment will have cost rates, and these cost rates you could get, depending on your industry, you can get from the industry or you can get from within the organization. Okay, and these cost rates can also aid you to know how much a particular resource costs. And then if you know the resource cost rates, you just multiply by the time it's going to take for the resource, and therefore that can help you get your cost for that particular resource within that time frame. And last but not least, we have the reserve analysis. So that's it for cost estimation. Then we have the budget determination. Now, previously we just spoke about each of the individual components that make up the projects, okay, and how much resources we needed for each component. Now, the budget estimating basically is the process of aggregating the estimated cost of the individual activities or work packages to establish what we call an authorized cost baseline. Okay, and it's extremely important. Okay, so, but of course, if you made a mistake in the initial estimation, then the budget will just be full of mistakes. That means as a result of a wrong estimation, you get a wrong budget. So it's very important that you get the first one right in terms of who's going to do estimates and so on and so forth. Okay. As I said, so budget determination is summing up all the cost estimates, okay, of the individual activities or work packages that you looked at the cost estimation process to establish a cost baseline. And these budget constitute the funds authorized to execute the project. Okay. Usually, and almost that's the case, the performance of the project in terms of costs will be measured against whatever budget has been authorized. There are two types of reserves, okay, that can be added to a project cost estimate. So the cost estimate, in fact, the cost baseline, in fact, will be how much it costs to carry out the project. Okay, but on top of that, you could also add these reserves. We have what we call the contingency reserve and the management reserves. So to create a budget, activity costs are rolled up, okay, to work package costs. Okay. Then we have project cost control. Okay. Now, as the project unfolds, there's a need to monitor to find out if expenditure is going according to plan. Okay, you don't. I mean, it's not prudent, it's not expedient for a project manager to wait till the project is almost nearing an end before you try to find out whether you are exceeding the budgets. Okay, or not. So it's important to have proper cost control mechanisms. So the process of monitoring the cost, the status of the project to update the project budget and managing changes to the cost baseline is cost control, and it includes the following: influencing the factors that create changes to the authorized cost baseline, ensuring that all change requests are acted on in a timely manner, because again, changes in projects are inevitable. So as the project unfolds, chances are there could be a change here or a change there, or changes here and there, and so there's a need to be able to make sure that if there's any change, it's acted upon in a timely manner. Okay. Project cost control also includes ensuring that cost expenditures do not exceed the authorized funding by a period and in total for the project. Okay, so that if you give yourself to spend, depending on how the work goes, 1 month amount of money, and then 2 months another amount of money, you don't wait till the end of the project before you find out. You can phase it so that you know at the end of this phase you should have spent this much. And project cost control can help you to monitor these and to take the necessary actions. Project cost control can also include monitoring work performance against the funds expended, preventing approved changes from being included in the reported cost or resource usage, and informing appropriate stakeholders of all approved changes and associated costs. And so acting to bring expected cost overruns within acceptable limits. There are 3 techniques that can help in cost control. So one is performance review meetings, where there are review meetings to check on the performance of the project. Then we have performance measurements and end value management, which I shall explain in detail. Now end value management is very interesting, and this is very important key in our project. It integrates project costs, scope and schedule, okay, and measures and assess and measure project performance and progress. Okay, so that at a set time, okay, it can be agreed upon that we're going to measure some key parameters of the project, and then that can give us an indication of the health of the project, whether the project is doing well to date, and going forward how it's going to pan out or be if actions are not taken. Okay, so end value management extremely important, and this is one key tool that can be used in monitoring and controlling project to find the health of the project. Okay, end value management develops and monitors 3 key dimensions for each activity. We have what we call the BCWS, okay, or the budgeted cost of work schedules, or planned value, as some texts will put it. They are used interchangeably sometimes, depending on the text they use. But budgeted cost of work schedule, in fact, is an approved budget that has been allocated to complete a scheduled task during a specified or a specific time. Okay, so that if an activity is supposed to take, let's say, 2 days, and is budgeted to cost 100 Ghana cedis. Okay, then you can say that the budget cost of work scheduled for that activity, or the planned value of the activity at the end of the 2 days, is 100 Ghana cedis. Okay, then the next key parameter is what we call the budgeted cost of work performed, or end value. Now, this is the value of the work performed by the status date measured in currency. So, as I indicated, if an activity A is supposed to take 2 days and cost 100 Ghana cedis, it's possible at the end of the 2 days that we've only done 50% of the work. Okay, and so that 50% of the work is what we call the end value. But that 50% of the work must be computed in monetary terms. And so what you do is you multiply 50% by the 100 Ghana cedis, and that gives you 50 cedis. Okay, so that means that instead of the 2 days, okay, you're getting a value of 100 Ghana cedis for a project. You are rather getting a value of 50 Ghana cedis. So that's what we mean by the end value, okay, for the budgeted cost of work performed. The actual cost of work performed, the actual cost, is actual cost required to complete all or some portion of the task after status date. So again, this example again, if a project is supposed to take, an activity in a project is supposed to take 2 days, okay, and the budget cost of work schedule, or the planned value of that, and then with 2 days is supposed to cost 100 days. It's possible that we've done 50% of the work. So with that 50% of the work, if you're going to compute the BCWP or the EV to be 50% of the 100, but it's also possible that the actual cost of work performed actually you are spent on a project, instead of 50%, we are looking at 50 Ghana cedis, but it's possible we spend like 70 Ghana cedis. Okay, so the 70 Ghana cedis in fact becomes the actual cost of work, okay, required to complete that task up to that status date. Okay. Now, end value analysis, as I said, is always specific to a status date. Okay, and once you get these 3 key parameters, which are the BCWP, the BCWS, the ACWP, or the EV, the PV, and the AC, okay, it only makes sense if you look at 2 variances, which are what we call the schedule or the schedule variance and the cost variance. Okay, so that the schedule variance or the schedule variance will give you an indication of whether you are on schedule, okay, you are running late, or you're far ahead. But usually we say either you're on schedule or you're running late. And the cost variance also gives you an indication whether you are within budget, okay, or there's a cost overrun. So as can be seen in the mathematical equation, SV is given by EV minus PV, which is the same as BCWP minus BCWS. So the difference between EV and PV, if it's negative, okay, we don't really care about the magnitude, but it's the sign that's the most important. If it's negative, then it tells you for SV that you are running late, or you're not on schedule. However, it's positive. It gives you an indication that you are on schedule. Okay, in the same way, when the CV is negative, it tells you you are overspending up to that status that you have spent much more than you expected to spend. Okay, when it's negative. And if it's positive, it only gives you it tells you that up to the status dates you are within the budget. There are also indices that we can use, okay, to monitor a project, the health of the project. It's similar to the variance, but just that these are ratios. So we have what called the SPI, or the Schedule Performance Index, and it's given by EV divided by PV, which is the same as BCWP divided by BCWS. Okay, and here again, if SPI is greater than 1, it gives you an indication that you're doing well, in the sense that on schedule you are on schedule. Okay, that means up to that status date you are within a schedule. Okay, when the CPI is, however, if the SPI is less than 1, it gives you an indication that you are lagging behind, or you're not on schedule. And so that, depending on what time you do this, it only gives you an indication of that, and so you may have to then put in mechanisms to try to catch up. Okay, and then the cost performance index is a CPI given by EV divided by EC. Okay, this is the same as BCWP divided by ECWP. Okay, and again here, if the CPI is greater than 1, it gives you an indication that you are within the budget, or you are, as per that status date, you are within the budget. Okay, everything is going according to plan. Okay, it doesn't really tell you the extent to which it is according to plan, but at least it gives you an indication that you are within budget. In the CPI, when it is less than 1, okay, it tells you that you are spending, or there's a cost overrun. There's a cost overrun. So in summary, okay, project managers must understand several basic principles of cost management in order to be effective in managing project costs. Very important. Okay, and cost estimating is a very important part of the project cost management. Okay, because if you don't estimate properly, then you may have come up with the wrong budget, and then you may be applying the right controls, but to the wrong budget. Okay, so cost budgeting involves allocating costs to individual work items over time, and project cost control includes monitoring cost performance, reviewing changes, and notifying project stakeholders of related changes